Hello, mayors. How are you all doing? I hope you're well. We're here to start another episode of Barboza Cities. If you like this series, please leave a like here at the beginning of the video. It really helps the channel a lot. And also consider subscribing if you haven't already. We're here flying over our mines, right? On the right, we have the industries that support this Asian side of the island, right? On the left, we have the satellite city that provides workers both for the industry and for our denser island over there, right? Our more central city, more metropolitan, more crowded. And, well, in the last episode, we expanded here towards the agrarian interior of the island, and that's where I want to return, which is right here, guys. Take a look, right? How are things going around here? I built this little structure here. I'm not even going to start a time lapse. I'm just going to leave it on the screen here while I talk, right? Because there's a logic I want to follow here with this zoning, which is based on building height, right? Around the square here, I want more commercial buildings and also buildings with higher density, right? At least medium density. I don't want to put high density here because the idea is really to make a village, right? And I also don't want messy zoning. But I told you that the intention was to make a historic village in the American style, which won't be possible, since the American historic style. It depends a lot on commerce, right? And I think we have a bug with commercial demand here because simply commercial demand doesn't increase. And I'll even show you. What does the game say, right? Why does the game say that commercial demand isn't growing? But anyway, come over here and look at what we have, right? Air pollution problem. And man, it's exactly because of that, right? I believe if we turn on the air pollution filter here, it's because of this recycling center here, right? It's the one that generates the most pollution. We can see it here by the darker orange color, right? And the wind brings all this pollution over here, right? It's not even so much the factories, because here we can see, look, the average air pollution has 2 little chimneys, right? The factory itself has only 1 little chimney. And that's it, right? We have to either remove this recycling center from here. And I even studied the map in the winds to see where we could put this recycling center. If I put it here, look, right? The pollution would be thrown into the sea. And it wouldn't affect any city. Any other place I dared to put this recycling center, right? Like here, right? It would already throw the pollution over here. Or up here, right? It would throw the pollution over there too. Anyway, here, look. We placed it carefully in this village because of the pollution from this recycling center we have here too, right? Which throws the pollution over here. And there are no houses here, right? No residences. So it's fine. But I was taking a look and we can come here. Look. Just click here on the neighborhood we made, right? Which includes the industries, and see if there's any policy here that we can implement to reduce this pollution. Gated community? No. Energy? No. Cycling. Combustion engine? Man, there's nothing, okay? I think Cities Skylines 2 is really lacking in policies, right? That we can apply to the city. There are really very few, right? Compared to Cities Skylines 1, which had a huge list. But taking a look here at the signature buildings, right? I looked here in the industrial buildings section and there are buildings that reduce air pollution throughout the whole city, right? And one of them we already have, which is the fuel plant. The fuel plant, if I'm not mistaken, is right here. Look, right here. Look, exactly. Next to our oil bay here. And then I went to look for more buildings that could solve this, right? Here in the industrial section, there aren't any others that reduce air pollution. But in the office area, there is a building that reduces air pollution by 12%. It's the Orem Spire, an elegant and futuristic skyscraper that houses engineering companies which strengthen the local industry with their advances in experimental technologies. They help control the city's pollution levels. And it's a skyscraper, man, it's gigantic, okay? And I tried to find a nice place here for us to put this skyscraper. Here, right? Because, man, it doesn't make sense for me to put a skyscraper here in the middle of nowhere, right? It should be here with the rest of the skyscrapers on the map. And even so, it would still be the tallest, right? All the attention would go to it. But man, there's no place here for me to put it, okay? I checked the blocks here. Here, it almost fits, right? Even so, I would have to remove this geological research center, but it still doesn't fit exactly in the block. So, I've been thinking, right? I'll have to put it somewhere strategic and prominent, right? Somewhere close to the island. And then I saw this little island here.
Minta. E eu acho que
It would be possible to build a development here, make an investment here to provide access up to here and build this tower. The problem is, how would I do it, right? How to get access up to here? Maybe, look, by using this other island and building a road through here? I don't think going underneath here would work, right? Building a road through here, it would have to be over here, look. Look, a bridge over here, and when it reached this island, it could already start coming down to ground level, right? And this other side, man, maybe I'd make a crossing up to here and try, I don't know, a connection here, right? Right at the intersection ramp. You know why? The only building we're going to have here is this one. So I believe it won't require too many trips or crossings over here, right? I believe there will be few vehicles that will, come to this island. So I don't think there's a risk of congestion here. And also, we don't even need to provide access to every part of the roundabout. So for someone who wants to come here, they really have to take this cable-stayed bridge, and then when they leave, they have to exit this way, okay? The access points will be very specific. After all, I don't need to diversify this. The only thing I did here was create an additional exit and entrance lane. Alright, it's done here, right? The connection. I'm even going to remove these trees here from the middle of the intersection, and they ended up like this, see? A lane here opens up exclusively for entering, and then there are 2 exclusive lanes here as well for this side. And then all this mess here, this makeshift setup, what's it for? So we can create the access road here for our distinguished tower that's positioned here, right? So this one will stay, right? The view of this skyscraper isolated here on the island. I imagine we would have some parking lots around here. I'll see if I can put a park here, look, to make use of this peninsula, this small peninsula here on the island. And in the free placement mode, let's see if the game accepts this park like this. It considers that there's an entrance, so I'll leave it there. I'll connect the paths here too, right? Well, just to integrate this park with the rest of the island. Here, look, I'm gonna try to make some paths really close to the water. Even following a bit of the terrain itself, right? It's cool that the game, even without mods, right? It lets us take the park paths and extend them outside the park, right? However we want. Alright, I think this part turned out nice. We have a community pool that I think would look nice here, okay? There's a basketball center, but maybe it would end up too close to the water. Like it's a club, right? I don't know, here's a company and here's the leisure area, right? The club. It's a company, it's actually an office. We've already seen that this is an office and there are several companies. I think it would make sense to have a leisure area nearby, especially because the place is an island, right? So I'm going to put here, look, our basketball center and a swimming pool. A club here, this park, it has shows here, there are some bars here, right? So it seems to be a pretty exclusive club here in the city. Man, there would still be room here for a brewery. Oh no, but this isn't for drinking beer, right? This is for producing beer. So for now, I'll leave it empty here, or maybe I'll put something else. I'll put in some leisure activities, right? To complement the club, right? So a skate park, a basketball court, an outdoor gym, and a tennis court. You have to provide electricity and also water pipes. There you go, problem solved. Now it's just about adding the details. I'm going to put some little stones around the island here. Alright, the stones are in place, right? It gave the island a nice base. Now I'll just work on the vegetation. And the idea is to put some lower shrub vegetation closer to the water, right? And some medium and taller ones further inside the island, right? And in the end, look, we have vegetation like this, right? This kind of detailing. All this so we don't have to justify a super high-tech tower in the middle of nowhere, right? There's some landscaping around here and it turned out really nice. Especially this entrance here, look, really majestic. But even so, right? It seems like the pollution is still heavy here, the air pollution. 13,000 around here, which is our emissions level, right? And it goes down to 5,000, look, up to here. Well, I'm gonna have to take this out of here, there's no other way. And I think I'm going to put it here temporarily, okay? I don't know if this will be the final version. Especially because this is a really nice stretch of land going out toward the sea, right? We could do anything else here besides making it a dump. But just so our village can keep existing, I'm going to change this dump here. Well, not a dump, right? A recycling center. Let's be classy here, okay? I'll leave it here for now, and let's see if this change can actually be effective for our village, right? Now the English village is complaining, and man, it's looking really nice, right? Without the notifications like this, look, I kept demolishing and rebuilding these buildings here several times until I got exactly the buildings I wanted, facing the right way, right? Sometimes this parking lot would end up here facing the square, but I wanted the building's fronts facing the square instead. And let's see if this change is going to be effective, right? This repositioning here. Look, I ended up removing it, and the pollution has already gone down here, see? From 13,000 to 11,000, right? The air pollution that was here. That also depends on whether this excavation is causing problems there, right? Also, it's not causing harm there because the average air pollution reading is 2 chimneys, right? Because this extraction site here, it's also like 2 chimneys. But look how it doesn't interfere so much with the pollution area, right? Here, for example, there's 1,000, right? Of pollution. Look, I zoned here, right? And then the crane. Notice how tall it is, right? A crane much taller than this building. And then I keep removing it until a shorter crane comes. And it does come, okay? There, look, it came. So I leave this one here so that big building doesn't grow, right? Like in this case here. Well, the pollution is going down, but it's really slow, see? For example, look, let's take this tile here. This little piece of floor, okay? It's got pollution of 6,242, okay? I'm going to start zoning a little bit here, and then we'll see how much the pollution is. Well, about the density, the demand actually, commercial, the only thing the game claims is that local demand is bringing this demand level down, okay? And that's it, okay? I can't guess. Because the taxes, they're pretty positive, right? For the existence and demand of commerce. The others here are doing very well. Except for the offices, right? There are still a lot of office buildings that are empty, right? And we have to wait for them to be occupied for the demand to grow again. But that's it. The highest demand here is for industrial, right? Which makes me want to start thinking about a new industrial complex, right? We have this one here and this one here. Maybe we need more. Maybe I'll do it around here. Since this is a flat area and already has some infrastructure, I think we could build an industry here. Look, I would connect a street here, fix this part. Not fix it, I would add another lane here so I could complete it, right? A new entrance and exit too, right? Along with this crossing I made up here. So it would be more or less like taking a street from here and extending it over here, right? But here I would remove it and leave only this part because from here on I will also put a regular neighborhood street. And I would connect it here to this street as well, right? Here you can put a small roundabout in this part here, right? I would remove it and make this connection exactly from the extra lane I opened here, you see? To make a nice and proper exit, right? With the infrastructure already shown here in this area. And then, right, I'll place industries here. I'll make a very simple layout here. Look, maximizing the potential of the blocks. And this will also help us with the unemployment issue, okay? We have here an unemployment rate that has grown a lot in the last episodes. I remember it was at 12%, right? It's already at 30% because we've been bringing in a lot of people, right? We're zoning the cities here with housing, but the industries haven't kept up, right? This still gives me trauma today because of the unemployment issue and building a bunch of industrial areas because of my last series over there in Bahia de Barbosa, right? But that's not going to happen here. God willing. And these industries here, they can also stand in for an oil refinery anyway. So it's not only these buildings from the game, right? They don't add as much realism as I would imagine there would be in a petroleum company. And coming back here to our English-style village, we can see that the pollution stain is already forming again around the landfill. While where it used to be, right? It's decreasing. Even with the industries, it's decreasing. So I believe that here, it's just a matter of time before it disappears. It's receding, right? That stronger yellow stripe isn't here anymore. But it's going very, very slowly, right? And now we have here, look,
5.902.
Pollution is at 5,902, so it's decreasing, it's slow, but it's decreasing. If that's not enough, I'll remove these 2 excavations from here, right? I didn't want to because they fit in really nicely here, right? They complement the other excavations. It looks really nice and I didn't want to. And I'm already thinking about where we can build more industries, right? I'm already thinking about building them here, look, in this space, right? Before we start the next city, or maybe right next to the next city, I don't know. Because man, this is going to be a good spot since the wind blows toward the ocean, okay? So I believe that this whole coast here, at least up to here, right, will all be industries because the pollution will come this way and won't affect our future city. So it will have to be placed around here. But this industrial planning, which will be the last step before the next city, right? I'll leave that for later, right? Because we need to finish this here, even though there are notifications here, we need to keep moving forward. So, right, there are some houses here that aren't even complaining, right? They never complained. So I think I'll actually start with this side first, because there's less pollution here, right? Since I already used a higher density here. It's a low density, but it's low density attached housing, right? The houses are really close together, right? Here I'm going to make a semi-detached one. That will change the style a bit and create more of this effect here. Look. British semi-detached houses. And it's going to create this gradient effect, right? Like we're moving away from the central square here whenever I'm zoning, right? I like to study the size of the area, you know, that the lot is going to occupy. So I zone it. I like to zone everything like this and see the sizes available here for this British semi-detached housing. But it's not growing. Even though there's demand, I believe it's because of the pollution itself. Would something like this grow here? Let's see, that's not the case either. Over here, a little further away, it grew here. But only this 2x2 is growing here, man. Maybe if this is the maximum limit. Man, I don't think this is the maximum limit, no. But then I'll have to split it. Look, this block in the middle, so it doesn't leave that empty space here in the center, right? It would be something like this. Oh, here the big lot grew, man. Oh, they're messing with me. Oh, that's how it is here. So, grow. Look, now there are only 2 buildings complaining about air pollution here. I think it's going to work out, huh? I don't think I'll need to remove the excavation site here. Oh, another thing I'm getting too, right? It's the corner houses, right? Sometimes they grow facing another street. For example, this one here, look, it's facing the street. But I wanted it to be a row of houses, right? Facing the street, so I'm deleting it and waiting for it to grow. For example, this case here, look, since it's facing the street, I'm going to delete it. And then, when this garden bed appears, and with the entrance facing this street, I already know it's going to grow towards the street, right? Just like this one here too. And then I can leave these houses here look aligned, right? For example, that's what I'll have to do here with this one, and this one too. Look, this one already grew in the wrong direction, so I delete it until it spawns facing the right way. Oh, is this being picky? Is it a small thing? Yeah, but I think that later, visually, it's much nicer than having everything random, right? Right, and all of them are also the same size, for example. This house here is the same size as this one, right? Always with the same size as the lot behind. I think it also looks really cute, really neat. Look, here it won't grow because there's no house that grows with a 1-tile frontage, right? So I have to replan all this here, maybe with a 2-wide one facing the street here, another 2-wide one here, then a 3-wide one, and another 3-wide one, just like this block over here, you see? And then it starts looking nice. There you go, right? Here, this cute building turned into this one, right? Which I didn't want because it turned black. It's tough, man. We still don't have the option to keep it historical without mods, and it's already been announced that we will, so for now, it has to stay like this. And no air pollution notification, right? Man, I knew it would work. I'm really happy. Now we can keep building here in the style I mentioned. Really careful here, look calm, one at a time. Already adding some little details here too, look, between the buildings. Is there space for bike parking? Let's add some bike parking. Is there space here, look, to put a park? Let's put a park. The same care as the other villages, right? We're going to have that here too. Look how green everything is now here on the streets, right? No air pollution at all, man. Look, almost zero, right? And the funniest thing is that there's still a little bit of pollution here, but they don't complain anymore. So everything's fine, right? And now I'm going to start building here on top of the hill, right? I'm going to start going up this hill with houses. we've already used these three types here. Look, the medium density homes, the semi-detached homes, the terrace homes, and now I'm going to add the true low density ones, which are the bigger houses, right? So farther away from the center here, I'm going to try to use this style. I don't want them to grow so close to each other or to be small houses, right? I wanted big houses. Let's see if here, at least, it's possible. Oh, this lot here turned out big, huh? If they were all like this, that would be good. These ones here, I'm going to try to delete oh, the second one grew. Let's keep going until, look, third, fourth. Okay, I think we can leave it like this here. And I'm going to start leaving some spaces here too, between one house and another to create this effect, right? So it looks like the city is getting more rural, right? Then I come here and fix it, right? Smoothing out where the growth of the houses deform the land here. Man, and to do this, look, see, it looks much better. It's really simple. I just have to... Let me see if I can find an example here to show you. Here, look. See? Here it's really deformed. What do? I take this terrain leveling tool and then... Look, I select the height of the lot here and I increase this lot height towards the back. And I basically carve into the mountain. It's not a problem, okay? Not too much, but I leave enough space for what? To leave this space here between this sharp drop of the mountain and the lot so I can use this terrain smoothing tool. I'm not going to touch this circle here, okay? Because if I touch this circle here, look, it's going to create that wall again, right? And that's not what I want. So I keep applying the terrain smoothing, see, without letting the circle touch the lot. Look, I stop more or less around here, see? And then it won't create that wall stuck here, you see? And then we can really soften this negative effect of the terrain. And look at the cool effect of the little houses that we have here, right? Look, going up all these hills here. And to make it even better, right? I have to bring the vegetation back here, so I'm gonna go ahead and redo it, right? I deleted a few episodes back there just so we could have a better view here, right? Of this area. But now we can start doing it again. Guys, this detailing process here, putting in every little thing, taking care of what type of lot is going to grow, the size, which side of the street it's going to face. Man, all of this here is a lot of work, okay? So please don't forget to leave a like, all right? It really helps support the effort and repay the work that goes into the channel. I left a lot of lots, empty spaces like this, because the idea is to give that impression, right? Of a small countryside village, but also to show that it's a little village that doesn't grow, right? There are still a lot of vacant lots, precisely because people prefer to live in the big cities, right? No, in the big hubs here on the island. But every civilization has, right? Its little countryside towns. That's why I'm concerned here with making this more rural part of the island. Well, and after 3 long hours of recording, we finally get to the end of this detailing, right? And look how this hillside turned out, man. It's really cool with the houses, with the city in the background, right? The scenery back there. And with all the vegetation too. Man, it turned out really, really cool. Look at this. The coastal highway going up the hillside here, wrapping around the whole village. Man, it turned out awesome, right? Here, look, the roundabout. I'll even hit play so things start working. And man, it turned out amazing. I honestly wasn't expecting such a cool result, you know? The houses ended up really well positioned. I'm not liking these buildings, okay? Those buildings over there, I'm not liking them. But when we have the historical building option available, I'm going to use that style I showed you guys, right? Which is this style here, look. That one, if they stayed like this, right? I didn't want them to grow because I think it takes away some of the character, you know? And here, this city center, right? Like a village. But even seen from above like this, man, it turned out really beautiful. Really cool. And I made some paths here, look, going up the mountain, right? So we could even try to make some viewpoints. I don't know if it's going to work, right? I left this part here to see if I can make a viewpoint. Let's go up here. Oh, I can do it. Yeah, I'll do it here. I'm going to put a little viewpoint here, right? So people can enjoy the view here, although I think it ended up too steep upwards. Let me see if I can make it less steep. Here, look. Here it's great, right? Little viewpoint. And lastly, right, we just need to add some details to this central square, right? And make a walkway. I'll do the detailing in the next episode, but I'll make the walkway here with you guys. Look, Now, in first person, let's walk around the city and see how it looks, right? This village, lots of parking, right? People park a lot, and man, it's all alleyways, okay? It's all little alleys. Look, there's a path here that takes you to the other side. These houses here are in the English style, right? The garbage truck is collecting the trash. And look, it's all little alleys, man. It's a real small countryside village, even though the houses are semi-detached and that makes the area denser, right? It's a really nice part here. There's a fountain here, right? With a tree. And over here, there's more, look, of the little alleys in the city. Really cool, right? Now let's cross the square again and go up a hill, okay? Let's go up so we can see what the view of the city is like from the top of the slope. Look, we've arrived again at the central square, right? It's really nice. I'll explain this later. Now, let's head to the other side. There's already a hill there. Let's see what it's like to go up. The house styles change here. They're no longer attached houses, see? And they become these more detached houses, right? More isolated, see? We go up this street here. I think this one goes up, look. So let's keep going up here. Now it really feels like the countryside, right? Really out in the countryside. We're already at one of the highest points, right? There's already a path here for walking. You can see the highway over there, right? And let me see. You can't really see the city that well from here. I'm gonna try to find a higher street. There we go. Look at this viewpoint here that I made, right? Up here on the hillside, right? Down here, the road passes by. And here we can see the whole city, right? Turn over here. There are going to be a lot of couples from the countryside dating around here, that's for sure. Just look at this, right? And over there, we have the rest of the village, the city, the buildings in the central area, which will become shorter buildings. But that's it, man. It turned out really cool, right? Our mega tower here stands out, helping us make that village exist, right? Because without it, we wouldn't have this a 12% reduction in pollution. Oh, is it soil pollution? Oh no, it's air pollution too. That's right. So that's it, right? And we even managed to make this little island here. It was a productive episode, man. It was a productive episode. We're working on this countryside area as it transitions into a new city, right? Next episode, we're going to try to deal with this 29% unemployment here. Working on a new industry around here before starting the next city, right? Well, and I want to give a shout out by name here to our deputy mayors, Rafael Caetano, Bruno Ferreira, Giovanni Freitas, Jose Fernando, and Nagal. Also, thank you very much to our secretaries, right? Who watched this video in advance along with the deputy mayors. Their names are also in the credits. And thank you very much to the city councilors, the foundation and pillar of this channel. Their names also appearing in the credits as a way of saying thanks. And last but not least, if you're not a channel member, right? You're not a secretary, not a vice mayor, not a city councilor, but you're always here giving likes, enjoying, right? Commenting, hyping things up, man. That helps a lot and it's free, so you help keep this channel going. We're in this together, as always. A big hug and see you next time, fellows.